This is Jared Gibbs for the Food and Culture class. For my video, I'm going to be making some catfish. I'm going to fry it with some Zatarain's. I'm going to be making mashed potatoes. I'm kind of started to peel them right now. And some macaroni and cheese. Some other ingredients that I'll be using in this video is lemon pepper, red pepper, milk, salt, and pepper. Alright, so now we're going to fill the potatoes. I got them all halfway peeled and chopped. I like a little bit of skin in my mashed potatoes. I'm going to fill it up with some cold water. And I'm going to let it boil until the potatoes are nice and soft. Or about finished. The macaroni is about ready to come off. And the potatoes are about ready to be stirred. The macaroni water is almost up to a boil. So I'm going to add a whole box of macaroni. And I'm going to let those boil till soft. And I just put the fish in. It's not super hot yet, but it'll get there. And I use cast iron because I think it gives it the best crispiness. So now we're done with that seasoning. I put the excess out because I really wouldn't want to reuse that after raw fish have been in it. This is what our fillets turned out looking like before frying. And then over here, we have the oil heating up in the cast iron skillet. And then here we have the potatoes, which are at a nice, starting to simmer and get frothy. And then we have the water on for the macaroni and cheese. Right, so now I have the Zatarain's Southern Fish Fry in here. And I have the fish soaking in oil. And I'm gonna put some red pepper into the Zatarain's. You don't need too much, it's pretty spicy as it is. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of paprika, because I like the flavor of paprika, and I'm gonna spread it in with it too. And now I'm gonna mix this in, and then I'm gonna batter the catfish with the Zatarain's mix. So to blend it in here, we're gonna mix this in really well. And you might not really be able to see the spices I just put in there, but you will be able to taste the heat. And I think it is very, very delicious. So now we're going to take our catfish fillets that have been soaking in oil for a few minutes. We're going to let some of the excess drip off. And now I'm going to give them a nice little coating of seasoning. And this will make a nice crispy outer layer as long as we have the oil hot enough. So that's about what one will look like after you batter it, and then we'll just set it on the plate until we're ready to cook it. I have them sitting in what I'm going to cook them in. So after I batter them, I'll heat the oil up and get them started. And after I finish battering these and the oil's heating up, I'm going to start the macaroni and cheese. And some places on these don't stick as well because because they're wild caught and they have a little bit of skin left on them, which is fine. It doesn't make any difference. But they still turn out really good. Later in this video, I'm going to talk about the history of the catfish, the macaroni, and the mashed potatoes, as well as how this relates to what I've learned for this section of the course. Now we have some catfish fillets. I caught all these from a local pond. And I'm going to soak them in vegetable oil. I'm just going to drop all 4 of them in there. And we're going to let them soak before we put it in the Zatarain's. We still have the potatoes on the stove, waiting for them to come to a nice little simmer, and then we'll mash the potatoes. Alright, so now we have the mashed potatoes off the boil, and they've been strained. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a splash of milk, about that much. Now I'm going to add some lemon pepper. I love lemon pepper in my mashed potatoes. You can put a lot in. It really helps the flavor. Now I'm going to put a little bit of salt. I don't put too much because I don't want it to be too salty. And now I'm going to put in one of my favorite ingredients. Put in almost everything. A little bit of paprika. And now I'm going to put in about 3/4 of a stick of butter. So now we're going to mix it up. This bowl's been through a lot of beatings. This pot. But it's pretty durable. And I always use it for my mashed potatoes. But as we mix them, they'll get a lot softer and a lot more smooth. And they'll have a nice little pink tint to them because of the paprika that we put in them. This should be good enough to go on Food Network. Now they're getting a lot softer. I like mine a little bit thick. So I'm about done with them. And I'll be back to show you the finished product. The final product, we got mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, and the catfish, which I broke up into smaller pieces so it could fit in this bowl because I'm taking it to work. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. It's going to make a really good meal. And I'm going to try and upload this video. I've never used YouTube before for uploading, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so now I'm at work. I ate all my food. It was very delicious. I took it to work with me and ate it on my lunch break. While I'm still out here, I want to wrap this video up. So, my meal, how I'm going to relate it to my course, is that the Kung Bushmen, they were the hunters and gatherers, and they taught that Lee a lesson about the biggest ox is not always the best ox. And the fish that we ate, or I ate, some people ate some of it too. They wanted to try it. It was pretty good, but they said that the biggest ox is not always the best. It can lead to the deaths of the villagers. And when I was fishing for the fish, we'd catch some really small fish and we'd let them go. And I've caught 20-pound fish before that are huge. You have to hold them with 2 hands. They're really big, and it's kind of a waste of the meat to keep them because they're more of fish that you'd like to catch for fun or let go to reproduce. And overall, it'd be better for everybody if you just let those fish go unless you were starving and only had to feed yourself, because the fillets aren't very much bigger than what you get off of smaller fish or the more healthy fish that are like average size, 5 or 6 pounds. And so that's how I'm relating it to the course. Now, some of the history of the food is that the macaroni and cheese, that originated from a casserole from a New England church supper hundreds of years ago. I guess they liked it, it stuck around, and they kept making it. It's really good. And then mashed potatoes in 1771, a French army pharmacist held a competition on the best way to make potatoes. And I guess somebody mashed the potatoes, and that's how we got mashed potatoes that everybody eats and loves today, which I really love them. They're really easy to make, and they're really filling. And I feel like that's a meal for a lot of people in the whole world, let alone just poor people. Rich people like them too. Everybody eats mashed potatoes almost, unless they're allergic, but I don't think they are. And fish, I couldn't really find anything on catfish. I mean, they've probably been eaten ever since people were on Earth and started catching them. But fried fish started with Spanish Jews that brought the recipe to England during the 17th century. So I don't know when the French Jews started making it, but the English started eating it around the 17th century. Fried fish, so catfish, ocean fish, bass, anything. They started frying it in the 17th century. Other than that, some of the ingredients that I use, just thinking back on it, I use paprika, ground red pepper, milk, potatoes. I used lemon pepper, vegetable oil, catfish, cheese, macaroni noodles, everything else. And I had a really good time making this video. It was a little awkward as I was by myself for the majority of the time cooking, so I apologize for the awkward camera angles, but I thought this was a very unique project, and I had a really good time making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. So this is Jared Gibbs with Food and Culture.